How often do you find lessons in corporate strategy, I mean really deep lessons about transformation and leadership, hidden inside a fantasy adventure novel?
Not very often.
Usually you're digging through some, dusky biography of an old industrialist.
But not today. Today we're doing a deep dive into this really unique fusion of high-stakes boardroom failure and, well, bog monsters.
Yeah.
We're talking about the novel Goblin Empire.
Okay.
Startup from the Swamp by Thorne Ravensong.
The premise alone is just fantastic. And based on the source material we've gone through, our mission today is really to give you a shortcut.
Right.
We want to unpack what this story reveals about ambition and how leadership has to just fundamentally change when all your traditional pillars of power are gone.
We've synthesized the key insights here, the character arcs, the strategic takeaways from the novel. So think of this as the executive summary.
But one that saves you from having to negotiate mineral rights with a goblin chieftain yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get into the setup. We had to start with the protagonist, Herbert Thorne. This guy is the absolute epitome of a corporate titan. We're talking about a man whose empire didn't just shrink, it completely collapsed after this violent coup and betrayal.
And that's the perfect storm for a CEO, right? It's a black swan event he was totally unprepared for. His whole world was built on stability and, trust in the hierarchy.
And the setting for his exile is what makes it so brilliant.
It is. He's sent to this hostile swamp environment ruled by goblins creatures he probably saw as, frivolous, inconsequential?
Cannon fodder, maybe? It's the ultimate reset. He's stripped of everything. No private jets, no legal team.
Nothing.
All that's left is his own cunning, and this is critical, his ambitious, pattern-seeking corporate brain.
Yeah.
He has to use that in a world where money and titles mean absolutely nothing.
And this is the first real strategic insight. The story forces him to instantly see the difference between his learned expertise and his innate problem-solving ability.
Oh, that's a great point.
His knowledge of hostile M&A is useless, but his fundamental skill at analyzing supply chains or managing risk, that survives.
So how does that actually work in practice? I mean, when you lose all your data, your experienced team, you're basically a startup with no seed capital.
Precisely. And his first big hurdle isn't just survival. It's resource allocation in a system that doesn't use money.
Right.
The currency in the swamp isn't dollars. It's shelter, clean water, protection from, whatever else lives in there.
So he's applying his sophisticated understanding of capital allocation to...
The mud and sticks. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has to decide whether to spend his energy digging a drainage ditch, which is infrastructure, or gathering sharp rocks for defense, which is security. It's high-level corporate triage.
That makes the struggle so much more relatable, even in this fantasy setting. It really gets at the core of leadership when you can't just buy loyalty.
You have to earn it.
You have to earn it through shared risk. And proving you're competent in a crisis, it forces a total transformation.
It does, which is a perfect lead-in to our second segment, his character growth and this entrepreneurial metaphor.
Right, because Herbert starts out as this incredibly abrasive, ruthless CEO. The source material is very clear that we're not meant to like him at first.
Not at all. He's a caricature of corporate excess.
Right.
But the swamp, it acts like a crucible. Facing that harsh reality forces him into self-discovery. He has to dismantle his own ego, piece by piece.
So his journey feels earned. The loss of his old life is the real catalyst for growth.
Exactly. It's not just a convenient plot device.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting for me. The goblins, we've said they're not just comic relief, they're critical. They act as foils to his one-dimensional corporate view. So what is it about their power structure that challenges him so much?
That's a great question. Herbert's old empire was so rigidly hierarchical, top-down command and control. The goblins, they operate on this fascinating mix of what the author shows as merit-based foraging and decentralized leadership. Power isn't from a title. It comes from skill in the moment.
So who can find the best mushrooms? Or who's best at defense?
Exactly. So he runs into this organizational structure that's essentially agile, but by necessity, not by choice.
You can't just fire the goblin who buys him.
No, he has to convince that goblin that working together is strategically better for both of them.
And that's where his negotiation skills are really tested.
To the absolute limit. In the boardroom, he used market power, asymmetric information. In the swamp, he has to use principled negotiation, maybe even BTNA best alternative to a negotiated agreement.
But his alternative isn't another supplier.
His alternative is starvation, or swamp fever. He is forced to negotiate based on shared interests survival instead of dominance.
And the book describes these interactions as both hilarious and really poignant. He learns that community isn't some soft, optional buzzword.
It's a vital asset. It's necessary for survival. He learns cooperation isn't soft. It's actually the hardest and most sustainable strategy there is.
Which connects perfectly to the entrepreneurial theme. The book really captures the feeling of a lean startup methodology.
It does. Herbert is forced to constantly test, iterate, pivot his strategies based on immediate feedback from the swamp and the goblins. Failure isn't a bad quarter.
It's death.
Right. And building an empire from scratch in that chaos, that resonates with anyone who's faced huge professional adversity.
It turns what could be a dry corporate story into this dynamic adventure where the stakes are so visceral, he's essentially proving the viability of a minimum viable product.
Which is a safe, self-sustaining goblin community.
Before you can even think about scaling up.
And that transformation from a centralized tyrant to this decentralized leader, that's his core journey. He has to trust the goblins, give them autonomy in their areas of expertise, which goes against everything he ever believed in. He goes from being a conductor to, I don't know, the facilitator of a jazz improv session.
Let's move into our third segment, the reading experience itself. Because even the best metaphors can fall flat if the writing isn't good. Our source material really praises Thorne Ravensong's style.
Oh, it's incredibly engaging. The descriptive language is what pulls you in. The author conveys all these strategic challenges through just vivid sensory imagery.
The review mentioned you can almost feel the muck between your toes.
You can. You feel the pressure of the environment. You hear the banter. You can almost smell the swamp.
And the dialogue is brisk and genuinely witty. That's what stops the strategic parts from feeling like a textbook.
The satire is baked right in, like when Herbert tries using boardroom jargon and just gets these blank green goblin stares.
I could just picture that. What about the pacing?
It's really well structured. It balances the high-stakes, action-like rival factions or environmental threats with these quieter, more contemplative scenes, which you need for the character arc.
That's an important point. The review noted that some people might think the sections on his internal conflicts feel a bit slow.
But they're not filler.
No, they're where the real strategic pivot happens.
Precisely. We need those moments of reflection to understand why he changes his whole model, why he adopts this decentralized approach. Without that suffering and introspection, his change of heart would just feel unearned. The pacing serves the theme.
So who is this book really for? I mean, obviously fantasy lovers will get a kick out of it.
For sure.
But it sounds like the appeal is much broader, extending right into the business world.
It is. I think anyone going through a major organizational transformation will see these uncanny parallels in Herbert's struggle. He loses his whole platform and has to rebuild his operating model in a hostile new world.
That's a perfect mirror for leading a legacy company into the future.
And it's for people interested in real entrepreneurship, not the glossy VC version, but the actual grind of starting over, facing failure, and rediscovering what your core values are as a leader.
So it's for anyone who enjoys a character-driven story about personal growth, but wrapped in this really entertaining satirical package.
Exactly. It uses that package to examine how fragile our man-made power structures really are.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. What's the final verdict for you, the listener?
The core takeaway from the book is that it provides this rare look at genuine leadership metamorphosis. It argues that profound, lasting change often requires a complete separation from your comfort zone.
It uses the chaos of the swamp to challenge the sterile assumptions of the corporate world.
It does. And the source material gave Goblin Empire a solid 5 out of 5 stars. Well earned, I think.
That's very high praise. And for you, this deep dive is a shortcut to understanding that insight. That the universal struggles of betrayal and starting over can give you a really meaningful perspective on your own capabilities and resilience, no matter how polished your current job is.
And this leads to a powerful final thought, one the book really forces you to consider. Herbert Thorne had to be exiled to a landscape ruled by chaos and muck to finally stop relying on titles and capital and start leveraging ingenuity and community. So if the ultimate test of leadership is building something that lasts under maximum stress with zero resources, does that imply that genuine success requires us to intentionally embrace, or at least seek out, the gritty, unpredictable parts of life that the polished corporate world tries so hard to suppress?
What unexpected swamps might we need to enter, metaphorically speaking, to truly understand our own foundational capabilities? A great question to ponder. Until next time.